Hi class, it's Mr. Trez, and this video is going to be about graphing linear equations. So here we have our first example with an equation y equals positive 1/2 x plus 1. We know this equation is going to be linear because it follows the standard form of y equals mx plus b. And since we know the equation is going to be linear, it's going to be a straight line on the graph. So let's take a look on how we're going to graph this. Well, the first thing that we want to take a look at is our y-intercept. So if we had our equation y equals mx plus b, we know that b represents our y-intercept. So in this case, our y-intercept is positive 1, and you have to look at the sign in front of the number. In this case, there's a plus, which represents it's positive. If it was a minus, that means it would start off as a negative y-intercept. So the first thing we're going to do is graph point 0, 1. And this is going to be our y-intercept. This is going to be the point where our line crosses the y-axis. So next is we're going to use m, which represents the slope to help us find the other point. And I'm going to say that again because it is very important. The slope is going to help us find the other point. So the first thing that we want to recognize is the slope in this equation is positive 1/2. And the key is to look and make sure that it's positive. So since the slope is positive, that means our line is going to be going uphill from left to right. So it's a good thing just to keep that in mind. So now we're going to use the slope to help us find the other point, which means we're going to rise and then run. So let's rise 1, and then we're going to run 2 units to the right. 1, 2. And now we're going to put our point right there. So again, we're going to rise 1 and then run 1, 2. And then we're going to graph our point. So as we can see, our slope is helping us find the points on our line. We have our points. Okay, and all we need are 2 points. But since we had room, we could draw some more. And now we're going to draw a nice big line. And as we can see, before we submit it, we just want to look at our line. And we can see that our line is going uphill from left to right. And that is because we have our positive slope. Okay, in our next example, we have the equation y equals negative 3x. And again, this equation is going to be linear because it follows our standard form of y equals mx plus b. And in this case, the equation is also proportional. So let's take a look. So we have y equals negative 3x. So the first thing that we want to graph is our y-intercept. So now in this case, we don't see a y-intercept in our equation, but it is there. And it is really negative 3x plus 0. So the first point that we're going to graph is the origin, point 0, 0. And now we're going to use the slope to help us find the other point. So in this case, our slope is negative 3. And if I was to write that as a fraction, it would be negative 3 over 1. Anytime we have a whole number, we can always set it over 1. So now, since our slope is negative 3, that means it's going to be going downhill from left to right. So you really have 2 options here, and you have to do what's most comfortable for you with its negative. Okay? Instead of rising and running to the right, one option is you can fall and then run to the right. You always want to have one negative move and one positive move. So if I was to fall 3, 1, 2, 3, and then run 1 to the right, that will give me my slope of negative 3. Now another option you could do is instead of falling and running, you can rise. Okay, but then when you run, you're going to run to the left. So if I was to rise 3, 1, 2, 3, and then run 1 to the left as my negative move, as we can see, the points still fall perfectly on our line. So it's really up to you, okay? You can either fall and go to the right, or you can rise and run to the left when our slope is negative. So as we can see, and it's always good to just double check, we can see here that going from the left side to the right side, our line is slanted downward. We are going downhill, which indicates a negative slope. Thank you for watching this video.